Welcome to the Prophecy Club. And what I'm about to say might not sound exactly right on a nationwide radio program, but I mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And that is, I want to say to every one of you out there listening, and especially our supporters and especially our Fast Track team too, I want to say I love you. And the reason I say that is because I think this past weekend, listening to Brian Melvin, I think hearing about heaven, hearing about hell, I think it drew me closer to the Lord. I think it painted an even closer picture in my mind of what our life together in heaven is going to look like and what kind of life we need to be living here on earth in order to be there, and to be there with the best blessing, which I guess is kind of a roundabout way saying I really recommend that you get that hell offer. That's what we're calling it, the hell offer at prophecyclub.com. But the point that I want to say is I want to say that I love you guys. Anyway, on to what we're talking about today. Here's the plan. I'm going to be playing a few broadcasts out of these 4 DVDs that I really think you need to get. First is How Illegal Immigration is Destroying America. True, sometimes older DVDs are not as relevant. However, these don't fall into that category. Matter of fact, they're probably more relevant today than they were when, for example, 3 of the 4 made back in 2005. First one is How Illegal Immigration is Destroying America. This is by Major James Linzey, retired U.S. Army officer and chaplain. And in 2005, we weren't that concerned with illegal immigration and how it's destroying America, but boy, we are today, and he hits it. Now, next thing is this How World Bankers are Destroying America, and I have to say, from what I hear coming from Linzey and the elite, this is extremely relevant and very important that you get it, because he helps you understand, literally, these international bankers are setting us all up. We are all in a funnel, and that funnel is getting smaller and smaller, and it's all heading toward world government, mark of the beast, and the Antichrist. That's where it's really going. Third one is Secrets of the Illuminati by Dr. Stan Monteith. This is talking about things like Rhodes Scholar, Jesuit, Lucius Trust, Mason, Skull and Bones, Rosicrucians, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers, expert on it for years. Then planned population reduction. Can you believe that they are doing many things in our nation, especially around the world, to actually kill people? That's their goal. See, if Satan can get them in the grave, well, the sooner the better, especially if he can get them there before they accept Jesus. That's to his advantage. So he's talking about things like what's wrong with cell phones, diet drinks, soy products, mercury, preservatives, MTB, Splenda, and all sorts of things. All 4 DVDs, valued at $120, available today for a gift of just $40. It's the immigration gift offer at prophecyclub.com. Now let's go on over and listen to the audio of the DVD, How World Bankers Are Destroying America.
2% of the population owns their own homes. 60% have 3 credit cards used to the max, and 1% own their automobiles with no debt. I at least fit into that category with an old beat-up Ford. Let's talk about money reform. Dr. Edwin J. Vieira, attorney at law, specializing in constitutional law. He's the director for the National Alliance for Constitutional Money, gave an address in Denver, Colorado, and he spoke to the National Coalition to Reform Money and Taxes. And he clarified that there is no necessary connection between tax reform and money reform. There might be all kinds of desirable political and policy connections, but no necessary connection. He talked about good tax, good money, bad money. There's no necessary connection. In other words, you can have a good money system, such as constitutional money, gold and silver, which is commodity money, and a bad tax system, or vice versa. You can have constitutional money and the federal income tax run essentially as a gross receipts tax. No necessary connection. So fixing a problem in one area won't necessarily fix a problem in the other area. You can have tax reform all you want, but if the money system is not corrected, we will still be enslaved to the satanic Illuminati world bankers. And Dr. Vieira asks, what is the major problem with money reform? It is ignorance, he says. apathy and fear come into play because people are apathetic. They don't care to do anything. They think Jesus will come. They're going to get raptured first. I'm not going to debate the rapture here, but they just think they're going to get out of it. Let all other Christians around the world go through persecution, but by God, we're Americans. We ain't going through it. Now, when I start getting angry, I start talking Texan. So you just have to excuse that. I spent about 7 years in the wonderful nation of Texas and really enjoyed it. I just felt like the lid came off my horizon because the sky was so big, and I really liked it. But I got off my notes here. I'm rambling. See, when I start rambling, I just start talking about all kinds of wonderful things. Let's, for example, if you were to travel around the country and check into a hotel, here's an example of the ignorance that I am talking about. You go to the desk and you check in, and the clerk says, "How are you going to pay for this?" And if you said, "Well, do you accept Federal Reserve notes?" she'll say, "No, we accept money." Or Visa, MasterCard, American Express. And if you pull out a dollar bill and point to where it says Federal Reserve note, she'll be totally confused. Not because she's a blonde, but just because she's never heard of a Federal Reserve note before. I didn't mean to offend the blondes out there. Men come in all colors too. I grew up with blonde hair until I got into college, and it began to get dark. But thank God it's not too gray yet. But this illustrates the ignorance that's out there. They do not know what the thing is called that we call money. And a show on CNN a while back talked about economic reforms that had to occur in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union, and whether the U.S. should participate in reforms by providing funds. And when you talk about reform, it usually refers to the banking systems, the money system, the economic systems. And this expert from the government, if they represent the government, they are experts. You know that. And he said that absolutely not. We would no way provide for funds if the nations in question did not submit to a central bank to monitor the currency and the control of their currency, their money system. We seem to propose the same kinds of control that our Constitution prohibited in America. And this kind of statement and discussion shows that there's a lot of attention being paid to monetary reforms all over the world. It's easy to show and almost impossible to refute that a dollar is a very specific silver coin containing 371.25 grains of fine silver. It's always been this way since the inception of the American Republic. The Constitution fixes the monetary unit of the United States as this dollar. It empowers Congress to coin silver and gold coins, and it very specifically prohibits the government from issuing what the Founding Fathers called bills of credit, what we call paper currency, which is a rotting vegetable, redeemable in silver and gold. And so it's really senseless to talk about a gold or silver-backed dollar. The fact that so much debate on the Federal Reserve System focuses on this point shows how totally ignorant most of the people are about the subject of American money. Defining the dollar constitutionally is the first step in explaining the real nature of the problem that we have with the Federal Reserve System. Some people don't know it, but this is a problem that we have. And I want to point out why this is a problem. We have to look at three aspects, the 3 points I'm going to discuss to understand the Federal Reserve System. First point is that there's been a devolution of the dollar, of money, of currency during the past 200 years. There's a movement of the devolution from commodity money to fiduciary money to fiat money. And so I'll define each of these things. Commodity money is a medium of exchange, a money with intrinsic value, such as gold or silver coin. In the case of commodity money, the actual commodity, the silver or the gold, is both the medium of exchange and the standard of value, the unit of prices. The supply of commodity money is self-limited because of the cost of mining, refining, and bringing into the mints. So the key terms are it's a money of intrinsic value, and it is self-limited. Fiduciary money is a medium of exchange composed of some intrinsically valueless substance, typically paper, a rotting vegetable currency, which the issuer promises to redeem in commodity money, silver or gold. It is called a promissory note because there's a promise to pay in commodity money. An example would be a note which is backed by gold or silver reserves in a bank. The note is a promise to pay in commodity money and therefore represents something of real value. Private banknotes and government treasury notes are fiduciary monies in general circulation. The paper promised to pay is the medium of day-to-day exchange. The actual money and the ultimate standard of value remains the promised medium of payment, which is the silver and gold coins. The supply of fiduciary money is also self-limited because it requires payment in gold or silver. So the units of fiduciary money has to be equal to the units of commodity money available. If we have a free market system in which contracts are going to be enforced, fiduciary money will be issued only to the extent that the issuer can satisfy the demands for redemption. We have to realize, however, that free market always affects this kind of money because there's always the threat by the government or a powerful interest group to step in to repudiate the promise to pay, the promise to redeem. Fiat money is backed by nothing. It is composed also of intrinsically valueless substance, paper, which the issuer does not promise to redeem, either in a commodity money or fiduciary money. The only reason why people accept it is because of faith. Because fiat money has no legal connection to commodity money, and there's no economic cost in terms of production, it is not self-limited. We must realize that...
We'll be right back after this message. Okay, I have some good news. We're going to extend the archaeology gift offer for one more week. Here's what you get. It's actually 4 discs. You're going to get the 1991 video that I shot when Leslie and I visited Noah's Ark, the crossing side of the Red Sea, all kinds of amazing things on that 2-week tour with Ron Wyatt. That's called Archaeology Confirms the Bible. Then I made one back in 2012 called Noah's Ark Confirms the Bible, and this is explaining a lot of the things that was actually on the first DVD. Then we had Michael Root in to make 2 amazing DVDs. First one called End Times Archaeology. Second one called Dead Sea Scrolls. 4 discs, 4 titles, and is normally valued at $80, but we're making it available right now for a gift of just $40. We're going to extend it one more week. It's called the Archaeology Gift Offer at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Archaeology Gift Offer, prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. Last week, get it now. Brian Melvin did an excellent job making this DVD called Hell in a Box and From Hell to Heaven. Excellent talk. I've heard about 30 some odd talks of people that have passed on, some to heaven, some to hell. This is one of the best ones. This held my attention all the way through. Now look, just as archaeology can be really powerful to win people to Christ, and you need that. You need this DVD in your hands to show people this will convince people. I'm saying this will convince the skeptic to get saved very powerfully. You want this DVD and this book, Hell in a Box and Hell to Heaven, and the book, A Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion. DVD gift of 30, book gift of 20, both for a gift of 45, prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. The Hell Gift Offer. Keep them out of it with the Hell Gift Offer. prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. And now, back to the program.
Commodity money or fiduciary money. The only reason why people accept it is because of faith. Because fiat money has no legal connection to commodity money, and there's no economic cost in terms of production, it is not self-limited. We must realize that the value of fiat money is always largely a matter of public confidence in the economic or political stability of the issuer. Fiat money can be manipulated very easily by anyone involved in its creation. Historically, every major fiat money has been destroyed in hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is an extreme decrease in the purchasing power that is caused either by unlimited increase in the supply of fiat money by the issuer or simply by the loss of public confidence in the value of the money or in the economic or political stability of the issuer. Second point, the theory and history of fiduciary money, also the theory and history of banking, must focus on the ever-present problem of redemption. Why is it a problem? Because there's a promise to redeem in gold or silver, commodity money. Commodity money in silver or gold coin is itself payment because it contains a fixed weight of precious metal. But a unit of fiduciary money, a banknote or treasure note, is only a contingent, an uncertain payment, because it depends on the ability and the willingness of the issuer to redeem it. Fiduciary money always threatens to become fraudulent money. The history of fiduciary money is the history of monetary fraud, both economic and political. Third point, the danger of fraud in the issuing of fiduciary money is acute in the case of fractional reserve banking. In fractional reserve banking, the bank is always issuing more units of fiduciary money than it has units of commodity money available for redemption. It counts on the assumption that not all Americans will come forward demanding redemption, all at one time. Modern fractional reserve banking is inherently fraudulent because it is simply impossible for the banks to simultaneously fulfill its promises. The bank managers know that complete redemption is impossible, and therefore the promises are false. Bank customers are simply ignorant of how the fractional reserve banking system works. Let's talk more about the Federal Reserve System. If you want to understand the significance of the Federal Reserve System, then you have to understand that there is no such thing as politically neutral or politically independent money. Ultimately, money is both a medium for storing wealth and exchanging wealth. Thus, money is a form of property and a mechanism for implementing contracts that transfer property from one person to another person. Even in a free market economy with limited government, money has always a necessarily political character. The degree to which, you have to understand this, the degree to which the government protects the money system from private fraud and public looting is the degree to which the government respects and protects private property. I question whether or not our government protects and respects private property here in America, especially with the insane, the asinine tax system here. We'll talk more about that. A free market economy will necessarily have one kind of money system. A mixed economy, another kind of money. A socialist economy, another kind of money, and so forth. But in every society, the money system always accurately reflects the political values of that nation or that society, always. So the debate over whether the Federal Reserve System ought to be independent of Congress is completely misdirected. Originally, the Constitution made our money independent of all electoral politics by fixing the monetary unit as the dollar, by outlawing bills of credit, and by allowing only silver and gold for payment in personal contracts to operate as legal tender. Instead of making money politically independent or politically neutral, the Constitution actually settled on one political formula, a money of intrinsic value. The creation of the Federal Reserve System in 1913 did not make Federal Reserve notes politically independent or politically neutral. It merely changed the political character of the money system by empowering a small, non-elected, self-styled experts and private bankers to control the federal Reserve notes and the supply thereof, the interest rates, and all other monetary and banking phenomena. The Federal Reserve System actually politicized money because it enabled politicians, administrators, and a few very specially selected special interest groups to exercise the very control over our money system that the Constitution originally disallowed. Although control of the monetary and banking system has serious political significance, apologists for the Federal Reserve System have been extremely successful in keeping the monetary and banking system issues from the agendas of both major political parties, political candidates, and anyone else in the political arena. As a result, there is no public political discussion on these issues anymore in our society. There is no serious political movement now to propose the immediate restoration of our constitutional money system. No serious political movement demands that all paper currency of private banks be true fiduciary monies. No serious political movement attacks fraudulent fractional reserve banking. No serious political movement denounces the incestuous relationship between the federal government and the federal banks through the Federal Reserve Corporation. It is vitally important politically that no serious political movement challenges the government's use of the monetary and banking systems to regulate the economy. And it is of vital political significance that the general public is simply unable to devise any kind of strategy in dealing with the satanic Federal Reserve Corporation as a supposed agency of the federal government. The Federal Reserve System, when it testifies before Congress, tells Congress what the policies will be, not the other way around. Congress does not control it. Nobody has a handle on this agency. Nobody. A group that could exercise all these matters without complaint by any significant portion of the public must be very powerful. How the apologists for the Federal Reserve System has managed to stifle public political debate on the Federal Reserve Corporation, the history books do not tell. What is clear is that the Federal Reserve was established to remove the Constitution as the controlling agency in national monetary policy and to guarantee that certain special interest groups were disproportionately represented in determining that policy. The result of these things is what we call a monopoly, the setting up of a monopoly. Let's talk about levels of the Federal Reserve System. First level, we could describe the Federal Reserve System as a tool for stabilizing the inherently fraudulent fractional reserve banking system. The purpose of the Federal Reserve System is not necessarily to do what the banks want, but to do what they need. For example, if we have a regime of commodity money, the way we were established under our republic, then the bankers employ the inherently fraudulent fractional reserve system. They expand the supply of fiduciary money, banknotes and their demand currencies beyond the supply of commodity money available. And this has two effects. Number one, it allows the banks to give out more loans because they printed up more money artificially, backed by nothing, and thereby increases their profits. And number two, it enables all the holders of this fiduciary money to be unknowing partners with the federal banks in all those excessive loans and spreading the risks of these loans throughout society. The supply of fiduciary money is limited by the possibility of bankruptcy. Lots of people coming forward and demanding redemption. If such a thing happened, the banks would go bankrupt. So what do? The bankers then would go out and support legislation that is designed to insulate the fractional reserve banking system from threats. You see, they are threatened. They are extremely timid and very insecure. They're afraid of us. So they've got to insulate it through legislation. Their political cronies do the work. And they would use propaganda to con the public into believing that the banks were sound through so-called deposit insurance schemes. And they say things like, the government will pay. If we fail, the government will pay. Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you that since the federal government does not own the Federal Reserve Corporation, it is the people who will pay. and yet they don't know it. Second level, bankers ask the government to authorize what used to be called suspension of specie payments. That means the bankers simply refuse to fulfill their promises to redeem the fiduciary notes with commodity money. And this refusal allows the bankers to stay in business even though they are bankrupt. Suspension of specie payments are a key indicator of the breakdown of the free market economy because they are a governmentally allowed repudiation of the promise to pay, a repudiation of contracts. Third level, to prevent bank runs then, the bankers lobby for government permission to repudiate their fiduciary monies totally. They want to convert fiduciary money into fiat money. There is no problem about bank runs then because there's nothing they have to redeem. Nothing. This action usually requires the government to force the circulation of fiat money. They can do so by several methods. For example, the government can, 1, make that money tender in payment of taxes. People have to pay their taxes. And that will force the circulation. 2, declare that money legal tender for all debts. And 3, outlaw contracts that are payable in any other form of money, especially commodity money. In the mid-1930s, that's precisely what the government did in that banking crisis. They turned Federal Reserve notes into fiat money, at least in respect to gold coins. These steps would substitute the taxpayer as ultimate guarantors of the fiat money instead of the banks and the banks' shareholders, all those banks that I listed off. And in return for this action, the banks would have to agree to do 2 things. 1, they would agree to monetize the public debt, that is to buy government securities for duly created fiat money.
I'm going to interrupt right there, but I'm going to encourage you to get these 4 DVDs valued at $120 for a gift of just $40. I'm going to give you 1 line per DVD explaining it. How illegal immigration is destroying America. He exposes how satanic forces in the U.S. government are actually allowing illegal immigration, giving access to terrorists to invade America, and a lot more. How world bankers are destroying America by forming a global bank to control all kinds of things. Of course, we know eventually go to the mark of the beast, talking a lot about the Federal Reserve. Then Secrets of the Illuminati, Dr. Stan Monteith, radio program he did for 5 hours every day for years, 37 years. He talks about things like Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers, and a lot more. Planned population reduction. What's wrong with things like DDT, created diseases, milk additives, processes, MTBE, Splenda, and that's just scratching the surface. 4 DVDs valued at $120 for a gift of $40 at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. It's the immigration gift offer. This week, 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. That's what really keeps us going. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Okay, I have some good news. We're going to extend the archaeology gift offer for 1 more week. Here's what you get. It's actually 4 discs. You're going to get the 1991 video that I shot when Leslie and I visited Noah's Ark, the crossing side of the Red Sea, all kinds of amazing things on that 2-week tour with Ron Wyatt. That's called Archaeology Confirms the Bible. Then I made one back in 2012 called Noah's Ark Confirms the Bible, and this is explaining a lot of the things that was actually on the first DVD. Then we had Michael Root in to make 2 amazing DVDs. First one called End Times Archaeology. Second one called Dead Sea Scrolls. 4 discs, 4 titles, and is normally valued at $80, but we're making it available right now for a gift of just $40. We're going to extend it 1 more week. It's called the Archaeology Gift Offer at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Archaeology Gift Offer, prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. Last week, get it now.